With Bezos now worth over $200 billion, legal experts say a prenup this time around would be a critical move.
What if I told you that the $50 million wedding in Venice might just be a beautiful distraction? Tonight, we'll explore 6 explosive revelations. The secret marriage, the ironclad prenup, a $38 billion ghost haunting, multi-jurisdiction law gymnastics, star-studded theater, and the hidden clauses everyone's dying to know. Ready for the twist? Number 1. The $50 million night that hit a legal fortress. Let's start with the fairy tale. A billionaire groom, a media mogul bride, a wedding so lavish it made royal ceremonies look like backyard potlucks. 3 days of opulence in Venice, Italy. The kind of event where the wine costs more than your car, and the guest list could pass for a Vanity Fair cover shoot.
Everyone from Leonardo DiCaprio, Orlando Bloom, Tom Brady, Kim Kardashian, Oprah Winfrey. I mean, the guest list it's like mind-blowing.
Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sánchez didn't just tie the knot. They moored it with golden rope in a floating city built on secrets. But here's the twist. It wasn't the real wedding. Not legally, at least. According to Page 6 and multiple insiders, Jeff and Lauren had already been legally married in the United States, weeks before the first flute of champagne even hit Italian lips. No I-do's needed under the Venetian moonlight.
There are reports that they're already married with a huge prenup.
I've read those as well, and yeah.
By the time George Clooney showed up in his tailored tux and paparazzi scrambled for boat shots, the actual paperwork had already been signed, sealed, and probably notarized with Bezos' personal branding iron. So why spend an estimated $50 million? Yes, million, on what was essentially a dramatic reenactment? That's the question no one's asking out loud. But maybe they should be, because when you peel back the layers of champagne-soaked celebration, you're left with something eerily strategic. A stage, a distraction, a carefully choreographed illusion of spontaneity, love, and vulnerability, disguising a legal reality that was already locked in long before the gondolas arrived. See, when people say follow the money,
I'm so excited to announce this. I never thought at 55 that, I'd be getting married.
They usually mean it figuratively. In this case, there's a literal canal trail of euros leading back to a prenup so ironclad. Lawyers are calling it a financial fortress. And we'll get to that. But first, let's sit with the oddity of it all. Why perform a wedding you've already completed? Why Venice? Why the fanfare? Could it be love? Sure. Could it also be legacy? A rebranding of a man once defined by a $38 billion divorce and tabloid headlines? A billionaire who now lives in Miami and is suddenly very, very careful? Maybe this wasn't a ceremony to celebrate marriage. It was to camouflage it.
The last divorce cost him billions, tens of billions.
And here's where it gets delicious. The documents filed in the US? Sealed. The wedding in Italy? Technically never happened, at least not in the eyes of the law. But it happened in front of the world. And that might have been the whole point. Up next, what insiders say was inside the prenup, and why some are calling it Bezos' real masterpiece.
The two said "I do" in front of famous friends after celebrating their 2023 proposal on a yacht.
Stay close. This is where the story gets even more expensive. Number 2, the prenup they absolutely signed. If there's one thing Jeff Bezos isn't doing twice, it's walking into a marriage without a prenup. That lesson cost him $38 billion the first time around. And that was before Lauren Sánchez ever entered the frame. So now, with one of the largest fortunes in modern history sitting in his back pocket, and his back pocket sitting on a 417-foot yacht.
And their 2019 divorce ended with Scott walking away with roughly $35 billion, instantly making her one of the richest women in the world.
Jeff reportedly did what any rational billionaire would do. He got the paperwork handled. According to multiple outlets and insider legal experts, Bezos and Sánchez signed what's being described as a Mega Millions prenup before their official marriage in the US. No speculation, no whispers, just straight-up confirmation from divorce attorneys and high-net-worth insiders who live for this kind of contract drama. And this isn't some take the condo, I'll take the car prenup. This thing reads more like a Fortune 500 merger agreement. The details are tightly guarded, of course. But insiders say it likely includes full asset protections, inheritance clauses, strict confidentiality agreements, and even contingencies for future wealth from Bezos' business ventures, real estate, and potentially space exploration. Yes, there might literally be clauses about what happens if Blue Origin becomes the next Amazon and Lauren wants a seat on the moon. One lawyer went on record saying, "This isn't just protection, it's armor." And Bezos isn't the only one playing chess here. Lauren Sánchez has also been through a high-profile split with talent agent Patrick Whitesell. She's no stranger to what these agreements can cover, which means this prenup wasn't just signed, it was negotiated. Carefully, quietly, and very, very thoroughly. Now here's the part that's got everyone buzzing. This prenup reportedly includes non-disparagement clauses, social media conduct terms, and even stipulations about joint property ownership. Some say it even breaks down who gets the yacht. Others say it addresses access to future ventures like philanthropic foundations and public-facing brands. In other words, it's not just about love. It's about legacy management. But here's what keeps this from being just a contract between two rich people. It's the secrecy, the silence, the fact that no court filings have revealed the terms, yet every expert agrees. Something major was signed. So what's hidden in those pages? And could it explain why Lauren deleted almost every post from her Instagram right after the ceremony? Coming up next, how the ghost of a $38 billion divorce still haunts Jeff Bezos, and why that prenup might be more than just paperwork. It might be therapy in legal form. Number 3, haunted by the $38 billion ghost. You don't walk away from a $38 billion divorce without a few trust issues. Jeff Bezos didn't just lose money in his split from MacKenzie Scott. He lost privacy, headlines, and a whole chunk of Amazon stock that instantly made her one of the richest women in the world. And to be fair, MacKenzie handled it with grace. She went full philanthropist while Jeff went full yacht. But that doesn't mean it didn't leave a scar. According to those close to him, Bezos has been legally gun-shy ever since. There was no prenup in that first marriage, none. Back then, he was a hedge fund guy turned book mogul who probably thought a divorce meant deciding who keeps the dog. Fast forward 2 decades, and he's a planetary-scale billionaire who now builds rockets for fun. You think that kind of man makes the same mistake twice? Not a chance. That $38 billion settlement wasn't just a financial hit. It was a public spectacle. And for a guy who now obsesses over optics, legacy, and long-term control, it became a lesson in what not to do. That's why, this time around, Bezos approached marriage like a man drafting a space launch protocol. Every detail had to be airtight, every risk calculated, every exit mapped. That's where this new prenup becomes more than just a legal document. It's emotional insurance. Call it billionaire trauma response. Because when you've been through the most expensive breakup in history, the second time better come with a fire escape, a vault, and a non-disclosure clause so thick it makes your head spin. But there's something else here, something subtle. Bezos didn't rush this wedding. He and Lauren dated for 5 years. That's longer than some celebrity marriages last. And throughout those years, while the tabloids poked, prodded, and speculated, he stayed silent. Focused. Building. Not just wealth, but control. And this prenup? It's the result of that control strategy. There's a reason he's not winging it anymore. But the real twist? Despite the fortress he's building around his fortune, he's still vulnerable in one key area, a loophole that even the best prenup might not fully seal. And it has everything to do with where this wedding really happened, and the laws surrounding it. We'll get into that next. Because when billionaires cross international waters for a celebration, they're not just chasing romance. Sometimes they're navigating around landmines. Number 4, global assets, local laws, hidden traps. Here's something most people forget when they watch billionaires get married on boats and balconies. Marriage isn't just a love story, it's a legal jurisdiction. Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sánchez chose Venice, Italy for their jaw-dropping celebration. Stunning, symbolic, Instagram-shattering. But for all the gondolas and candlelit cathedrals, there's one little catch. They didn't legally get married in Italy. No public marriage certificate was filed in Venice. No Italian legal documentation. And that's not a glitch, that's a strategy. According to multiple insiders, the couple legally tied the knot weeks prior in Florida, where Bezos has residency. Why does that matter? Because in the world of high-stakes prenups, where you sign matters almost as much as what you sign. Let's break it down. In Florida, prenuptial agreements are recognized as long as both parties enter voluntarily, have full disclosure of assets, and, this part's crucial, have independent legal counsel. The state also tends to enforce these agreements even in messy divorces, which makes it a favorite for the ultra-wealthy. So if you're someone with rockets, global media ambitions, and a history of expensive exits, you want your prenup to be Florida tight. But hosting the wedding in Venice adds a poetic misdirection. It gives the illusion of romance without the legal entanglement of Italian marital law, which, by the way, is notoriously complex for foreign nationals. Italy's marital property rules differ dramatically, especially when it comes to division of assets acquired during marriage. If Bezos had made Venice the legal location, that could have created unexpected loopholes. Instead, they threw a wedding in a city famous for illusions, and made sure the real contract was tucked safely under Florida sunshine. Now here's where things get really clever. Multiple legal experts speculate that the prenup likely includes multi-jurisdiction clauses, provisions that clarify which states or countries' laws apply, no matter where the couple resides or travels. It's the legal equivalent of carrying your own Wi-Fi hotspot. always connected, always protected. Even more fascinating, the documents were reportedly drawn up months in advance and reviewed by legal teams on both sides. That kind of preparation isn't about love. That's chess. But even the best-laid plans have weak spots. And all it takes is one public misstep, or one hidden clause Lauren didn't fully agree with, for the whole thing to unravel. And as we'll see next, not everyone at this wedding was buying into the fantasy. Some people saw through the silk and diamonds and called it for what it might really be, a billionaire's Broadway show. Number 5, the celebrity mask in public theater. It looked like a dream. George Clooney shaking hands with Oprah. Kim Kardashian posing near the Grand Canal. Andrea Bocelli singing live, while a $500,000 fireworks display lit up the Venetian skyline. This wasn't just a wedding. It was a Hollywood season finale, a luxury fever dream, so expensive you could smell the tax deductions. But if you peeled back the glamour, the champagne, the $20,000 napkins, what you saw wasn't a union. It was a performance. The Bezos Sánchez wedding didn't just feature celebrities. It was built for them. Not just to attend, but to distract. With billionaires, nothing is by accident. Every drone shot, every candlelit corridor, every custom Dolce & Gabbana stitch was a calculated act in a much bigger script. A spectacle so dazzling that no one would bother asking what was really going on. And while the cameras were focused on the lovebirds, there were others watching from the shadows. The locals of Venice didn't exactly roll out the red carpet. They rolled out protest signs. Activists and residents condemned the wedding as a tone-deaf, city-clogging display of wealth during a time of climate crisis and gentrification. Boats were blocked. Streets were crowded, and the sentiment was loud. We are not your backdrop. Even Meghan McCain, not known for mincing words, called the whole event tacky and a waste of money. When billionaires make even other wealthy people cringe, something's off. But here's the real mystery. Was this extravaganza for the guests, or was it for Lauren? Some insiders suggest the showy wedding may have been a form of compensation, a public display of love to balance out a private, airtight prenup. A sort of look how much I love you gesture that doesn't actually come with legal strings. Think of it like emotional PR. And then something quietly strange happened. Right after the wedding, Lauren deleted nearly all of her Instagram posts. A digital wipe. Some say it's a fresh start. Others think it's part of a deeper brand transformation. One that's more controlled, more polished, more scripted. Which leads to the question, if this was all theater, where's the plot twist? Because something is still missing. A final act. A locked room at the end of the hall. And it might just be hidden in the pages of a contract we've never seen. One that holds secrets, escape clauses, and a fortune's worth of fine print. Next, we open that door. Or at least we try. Because what's reportedly in this prenup goes beyond yachts, estates, and NDAs. It might be the real story Lauren signed up for. Number 6, the mystery still unfolding. Here's the part no one can quite pin down. Not journalists, not lawyers, not even the wedding guests sipping champagne under the Venetian moon. What exactly is inside Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sánchez's prenup? Because despite all the speculation, all the confirmed reports from anonymous insiders, the truth is, no one has actually seen the document. And that's what makes this next chapter so fascinating. We know it exists. We know it was signed in the US, likely in Florida, and that it was crafted with the kind of precision normally reserved for missile guidance systems. But the actual contents? Sealed. No leaks. No filings. Just whispers of clauses that sound more like scenes from a Bond film than a marriage agreement. According to legal experts, this prenup might include sunset clauses, timed expiration dates that kick in after 5 or 10 years. It may even contain lifestyle clauses about public appearances, privacy boundaries, and family involvement. There could be terms governing their yacht. Yes, the 417-foot floating palace named Kourou, or estate protections preventing access to certain assets. It's entirely possible that Bezos even has post-divorce image clauses, which control how he's portrayed publicly if things go south. And here's where it gets even more layered. Lauren Sánchez isn't new to this. Before Bezos, she was married to Patrick Whitesell, a major Hollywood agent. That marriage also had a prenup. She's been through the machinery of high-net-worth relationships before, which raises a bigger question. Was this prenup fair, or a fortress? Because legal experts say there's a difference. If a prenup is too one-sided, it can be challenged, especially if a court finds that one party was coerced or lacked full understanding. And if that happened, we'd be staring at the opening act of the most expensive sequel in celebrity marriage history. But there's no public conflict, no whispers of regret, just silence. And then came the wipe, Lauren clearing her Instagram, removing traces of her past brand, and possibly signaling something bigger. Reinvention, or something agreed upon in a clause we'll never see. This silence is deafening and strategic. Because when it comes to Bezos, what you don't say is often more powerful than what you do. And that brings us to the final twist, the one no one's prepared for. Because what if this wasn't just about love or protection? What if this entire marriage, this entire story, was a calculated move in a game only one person truly understands? We'll get to that in the conclusion. Trust me, you'll want to hear it. So maybe this wasn't a wedding. Maybe it was a mirror maze, where every angle reflects love, wealth, control, and the ghosts of past mistakes. Jeff Bezos didn't just marry Lauren Sánchez. He married strategy. He married protection. He married the illusion of transparency wrapped in a $50 million curtain of candlelight and celebrities. The real ceremony, that was inked quietly in Florida. The real story, still sealed in a prenup we'll likely never read. And yet we can't stop watching. Because whether it's a love story, a legacy play, or a billionaire's best illusion yet, this isn't over. It's only just beginning.